Tonight, the class of 2026 has invited a member of the Eagle Hill faculty to impart one final piece of wisdom, and this year's final lesson will be taught by English teacher and student advisor, Mrs. Jane Alwis.
G'day. Where's Evan? I had to say it. Good evening, families, friends, fellow faculty and staff, members of the Board of Trustees, other honoured guests, and most importantly, the class of 2026. It is a tremendous privilege to stand before you today as we celebrate this remarkable group of young adults. To the families and loved ones here tonight, thank you for the countless plane, train and automobile rides, late-night phone calls and text messages, pep talks, sacrifices, and unwavering belief that helped these graduates to this moment. To my colleagues, thank you for the dedication and care that you pour into your work with these students, our students, every single day. And to our graduates, this is your day. You earned this. And I'm going to turn this a bit. I'd like to thank the class of 2026 and Tyler Blaze for the honour of speaking this evening. You can ask Tyler later why. Baccalaureate is one of those rare moments when we pause. We honour and allow ourselves time to reflect on where we've come from, who we have become, and who we are about to be. I want to begin with a story. Years ago, a teacher reportedly told a young student that he was too slow and unlikely to succeed in school. That student often daydreamed, asked unusual questions, and approached problems differently from everyone else around him. But instead of forcing himself to think exactly like everyone else, he leaned into his curiosity. That student grew up to be one of the greatest minds in history. His name was Albert Einstein. Now, whether every detail of that story is perfectly correct really doesn't matter. What matters is the lesson. The qualities that make us seem different are often the qualities that allow us to make a difference. Tonight, I want to talk about something that becomes increasingly important after graduation: the power of being uniquely you. Now, if we're honest, I'm going to do something here, excuse me. That's better. Because the truth is this: embracing your unique perspective is not only valuable, it's essential to meaningful success. If we're honest, much of life teaches us the opposite. From a young age, many of us learn that there is a correct path. Get the right grades, play the right sports, join the right clubs, choose the practical major, land the respectable job, build the polished resume, say the right things in interviews, fit the mould. And while structure and discipline absolutely matter, there is also pressure beneath it all, the pressure to conform. This year, you all became familiar with a writer who argues that our phones and feeds absorb so much of our attention and dominate so many of our preferences that stepping outside their conveniently predetermined paths and choosing an experience not immediately engaging feels somewhat radical. This applies to fashion choices as well as food, which television shows we watch, which books we read, which furniture we buy, where we travel. Kyle Chaker states, "In passively consuming what I was interested in, had I given up my agency to figure out what was truly meaningful to me?" Many graduates sitting here tonight know exactly what this means. You may have questioned whether your interests were too unusual. Maybe you worried that your voice was too quiet or too loud. Maybe you felt like you had fallen behind because your path did not look like everyone else's. Maybe you wanted to change direction but feared of disappointing others. Maybe you had an idea that sounded too strange to say out loud. But without all its colours, a rainbow would feel incomplete, and the same goes for humanity. Diversity is what elevates our world from the dull and mundane to the rich, innovative, and full of depth. It's those differences in our culture, our ability, our background, and the way we think that make all the difference. Standing out can feel risky. Trying something unconventional can feel uncomfortable. Failure feels more personal when the path is entirely your own. But here is what I hope you remember long after tonight. Everything that truly changes the world begins with someone willing to be different. Every breakthrough, every innovation, every movement, every work of art, every act of courage. Someone had to step away from the crowd first. Max Dupree states, we need to give each other the space to grow, to be ourselves, to exercise our diversity. We need to give each other space so that we may both give and receive such beautiful things as ideas, openness, dignity, joy, healing, and inclusion. Think about the people who have transformed the world, not because they blended in, but because they refused to ignore what made them distinct. Marie Curie pursued scientific research at a time when women were often excluded from those spaces entirely. Steve Jobs believed technology could be both functional and beautiful. Maya Angelou transformed personal experience into words that gave strength to millions. Temple Grandin showed the world that thinking differently can lead to extraordinary insight and compassion. As MLK stated, strength lies in differences, not in similarities. Being different and thinking differently makes you unforgettable. History doesn't remember the forgettable. It honors the unique minority that the majority cannot forget. And greatness is not limited to the famous names in history books. It exists in classrooms, laboratories, studios, clinics, workshops, and communities. It exists in graduates who solve problems creatively, who ask difficult questions, and who bring perspectives shaped by their own experiences. The engineers here tonight will design solutions nobody has thought of yet. The artists will help us see the world differently. The scientists will challenge what we think is possible. The educators will inspire futures they may never fully witness. The entrepreneurs will create opportunities others saw as obstacles. The caregivers and community leaders will remind us that humanity matters just as much as achievement. And none of that happens by becoming a copy of someone else. Our uniqueness is not a weakness to be sanded down. It is a strength to be cultivated. And I've seen this firsthand. Over the years, I've taught many remarkable students, but one stands out in particular. This student was intelligent, but not always in the way traditional systems reward. Their projects were unconventional. Their ideas often seemed unrelated at first. More than once, they were told to simplify or be more realistic. But this student persisted. Instead of approaching assignments the expected way, they combined disciplines, bringing together art, technology, storytelling, and social impact. At times, it confused people. At times, it even frustrated people. But eventually, something extraordinary happened. Their originality became their greatest strength. The very thing that made them stand out became the reason others listened. That student taught me something important. People rarely remember those who merely follow instructions perfectly. They remember those who brought something authentically human into what they did. And that's what I hope for each of you. As you leave our beloved hill, bring your full self into the world. Bring your ideas, even the unfinished ones. Bring your curiosity. Bring your perspective. Bring your humour, your compassion, your background, your creativity, your questions, your weird hobbies, your unexpected passions. Bring the parts of yourself you once thought were needed to overcome in order to succeed, your ADHD, your dyslexia, dysgraphia, your executive function disorder, your anxiety, your neurodiversity. Because this unique set of labels is what helps you think the way that you do. Because difference fuels innovation. Difference fuels empathy. Difference fuels leadership. A world filled with identical thinkers does not grow. A community that silences unique voices does not progress. The people who improve our world are often the people willing to imagine it differently first. And let me add this. Being uniquely you does not mean being fearless all the time. You will still doubt yourself sometimes. You will still encounter setbacks. You will still have moments when you wonder whether it would be easier to simply blend in. But courage is not the absence of uncertainty. Courage is choosing authenticity despite uncertainty. That choice matters, especially now. The world that you are entering is complicated. It faces enormous challenges, but also extraordinary possibilities. And those possibilities require people who can think creatively, act compassionately, collaborate across differences, and imagine better futures. In other words, it requires you. So tonight, as you celebrate your achievements, I hope you also make a promise to yourself. Do not spend your life trying to become the version of yourself that others expect you to be. Become the version of yourself that is fully alive, deeply curious, and unapologetically genuine. That is where meaningful work comes from. That is where real leadership comes from. That is where fulfillment comes from. And ultimately, that is where impact comes from. Class of 2026, years from now, people may not remember your test scores or your sporting achievements or the wordings on your diplomas, but they will remember how you made them feel. They will remember the ideas that you introduced. They will remember the courage that you showed. They will remember the originality you brought into every room that you entered. The world does not need more copies. It needs your original signature. So go forward with confidence. Trust your voice. Trust your perspective. Trust that the qualities that make you different may someday become the qualities that allow you to change someone's life. Congratulations, class of 2026. We are very proud of you. We believe in you, and we cannot wait to see the remarkable and uniquely original mark you will lead on this world. Good on ya. I'm stoked. Have a ripper weekend.
Mrs. Alwis, on behalf of the class of 2026, a small token of our appreciation for those beautiful and inspiring words.